Hey everyone, this is BF Warmer, and in response to the popularity, I guess, all of a sudden, in the past 48, 50, 72, 96, let's just say 2 to 3 days since I posted my Sonic Love Life series, where I talked about the loves of Sonic the Hedgehog's life in the comic book, from Sally to Amy Rose to Fiona Fox. I was asked by somebody, I don't want to, they know who they are, so I'm not going to say the name, to do a couple more, and I'm going to do a few, not on love life, well, there's a love life involved, but basically on who the character is. And the first one I want to start out with is one of the most popular characters in the entire Sonic franchise. In fact, some people might say that she's the reason that a lot of boys, and you might find this sick if you don't like it, but it's the way it is, but made a lot of boys become furries. And that is the character of Bunnie Rabbot. Now, you might ask yourself, who is Bunnie Rabbot? Where did she come from? Well, there's two versions of Bunnie Rabbot's origins. First of all, in the junior novelization called Sonic the Hedgehog: Robotnik's Revenge, Bunnie Rabbot was one of the freedom fighters. Was one of the freedom fighters before she was partially roboticized. According to the origin, she was captured on a mission. This origin, I should say, she was captured on a mission, and just as Sonic and the others came to her rescue, they were too late in preventing her from being partially roboticized. So, in other words, they did save her, but in part, but without a price, and that price being she has to live out the rest of her life being half robotic. Now, in another origin of the story, which is in the comic book, she used to be a southern rabbit that lived in the southern part of Mobius, and some SWAT bots capture her, put her on a robo machine, and as Sonic and Rhoda came to her rescue, Sonic stopped the machine in midway, thus partially making her roboticized. Now, her origins of how this happened to her is never really explained in the Saturday morning cartoon, although there is an episode in the second season called Sonic Conversion, in which the freedom fighters, and a little bit of this is depicted in the first season, when they're looking for certain parts during the missions in Robotropolis. But in the second season episode called Sonic Conversion, the freedom fighters have built themselves a de-roboticizer. And thus they wanted to test it out on the one person they've been wanting to de-roboticize for quite some time, and that's Bunnie Rabbot. Now, the test, if you will, does prove successful, but only on a temporary basis. For you see, the test only lasted maybe about a day or so, which means for about 24 hours or 12 hours or less than that, I don't know what it is, Bunnie Rabbot was de-roboticized. She was a regular flesh and blood creature again. However, because the freedom fighters have yet to really figure it out how to de-roboticize people, she converted or reverted back to being half roboticized. Now, in the comic books, she stays this way. She does remain half roboticized because of one reason. In the Supersonic Special number 11, I think. I'm not sure. I have to look. I think it's Supersonic Special number 11, a 48-page special. Bunnie Rabbot's original robotic limbs are giving out on her, and thus Bunnie Rabbot has one or two options. She can either try for de-robotization, which means she could live through it, or not. Basically meaning she would have a less percentage of a chance of living afterwards, or having her robotic parts upgraded into a more cybernetic, almost organic looking version of what she had. Now, she decided that instead of dying, she'd rather be half roboticized, so her original robotic parts that were seen in the cartoon and for most of the time in the comic book were replaced by more cybernetic, more modernized, and more upgraded versions of those robotic limbs. Now, a lot of people, for a lot of you that are probably new to the comic book, and you're probably wondering why Bunnie Rabbot is hanging around a fox that you probably heard of called Antoine Decoulette. You're probably wondering why she's hanging around and calling him honey. And if you're new to the comic book, like I said, and your first issue was maybe 174, and you saw her getting married to this guy, let me explain some about Bunnie Rabbot's love life. Now, Bunnie Rabbot never was in love in the Saturday morning cartoon. Never was. Even though she would call Sonic Sugar Hog and be sweet-talking to him, she was never in love with anybody in the comic book. She was just a sweet individual, just a sweet character. Now, as far as I shouldn't say the comic book, I should say the cartoon. I'm sorry, it's about 1:34 in the morning here, and I know you're asking why are you up so late. It's just me. But anyway, in the cartoon, she never fell in love with anybody. She was just a sweet Southern girl. But in the comic book, she does. In issue, I'm not sure what issue it is. I think in the early 20 issues, if you will, it's revealed that Antoine and her might have a little bit of a crush on each other. Now, in issue 47, that realization becomes reality when she finally admits her true feelings to Antoine. And ever since issue 47, her and Antoine have been an item. Well, not necessarily an item. You see, just like with any couple, they've had the ups and downs, and they've had the kind of personal demons and personal attacks, and, well, you get the idea. They've basically been, Bunnie and Antoine's relationship, or Bunnie Rabbot's relationship with Antoine, has been one of a rocky road, if you will. Because, just like I said, for about 80 issues, for about 75 issues, I believe it was 75. I can't. 78 issues. Yeah, 78 issues. Her and Antoine were an item. But it wasn't until 134 that a lot of fans started to notice something a little bit more different about Antoine. See, in 134, Antoine's demeanor took on a different tone, a darker tone. No one knew. I mean, the writers, I give them credit, did a hell of a job in not letting anybody know what was going on until the last minute. But what happened, and this is also described in the Triple Threat Takeover story arc that took place after Home arc, or which is around the Home arc, I should say, which is Home arc. What am I saying? It's revealed by Fiona when she was with the Freedom Fighters to Sonic that Antoine and Bunnie had broken up 6 months prior to Sonic returning. Now, the reason Antoine and Bunnie broke up was because the Antoine that had broken up with her was not the real Antoine. And I mentioned this before in the Love Life section. This Antoine was in fact the evil version of Antoine named Patch from an alternate dimension. And the reason he broke up with her is because he had plans to usurp the kingdom and basically murder his way to the throne. But anyway, because of this, and Bunnie not knowing of a switch that had been made, people have said her personality took on a more reckless, more unpredictable manner. As a matter of fact, she would even start flirting around with Sonic. For a prime example, when Scourge masqueraded as Sonic, when he was known as Evil Sonic back in the 125th issues, Bunnie started to hang out with him, and she even took a nap with him. Now, don't get any dirty thoughts or anything. It wasn't that kind of a nap, but just a regular nap with him. And then in another story, where the real Sonic, after he returns, rescued Bunnie from being absorbed by Adam into the Nanite City, she thanks the real Sonic with a kiss on the lips. Now, to kind of quicken this story up, to quicken this whole explanation about Bunnie Rabbot up, what happens later on in this two-parter called Line of Succession, Bunnie announces to Sonic, tells Sonic in tears, Bunnie, who's in tears, tells Sonic that Antoine and Sally are getting married. Well, Sonic finds out about this, doesn't know why it's going on, why Sally didn't say anything, but in the end, basically what happens is Sonic finds out that this Antoine is not the real Antoine, sends him back to his alternate dimension, brings back the real Antoine, Bunnie gets back together with the real Antoine, and then about maybe 9 issues later, her and the real Antoine end up getting married, and she goes from being Bunnie Rabbot to Bunnie Rabbot de Coolit. But anyway, that's the whole explanation about who Bunnie Rabbot is. And I hope it helped you guys out. Peace.